What if the spiritual technologies of our ancestors, their rituals, their chants, their sacred symbols, were not relics of a distant past, but blueprints for awakening hidden within us? What if every word we speak, every sound we make, carries a vibration powerful enough to shape reality itself? This is not just poetic language, it is the ancient science of consciousness, encoded in the traditions of our forebears and waiting to be remembered. In this episode, we weave together two powerful threads of wisdom. First, the spiritual technology of the ancestors, the systems of alignment, ritual, and symbolic language that allowed ancient African and diasporic civilizations to communicate with the invisible realms. Second, the hidden science of word, sound, and vibration. What traditions from Egypt to the Yoruba have called Heka, Ace, or Ise, the living power that moves through breath, tone, and speech. Together, these two currents form a single river of understanding, one that reveals how consciousness itself is technology and how every human being is both the user and the instrument. Our purpose today is to interrelate these teachings, to show how ancestral knowledge of the unseen world and the vibrational power of sound converge in the act of creation. By understanding their connection, you will see how these ancient systems can still be applied today as tools for awakening, for healing generational patterns, and for rediscovering your own sacred purpose in the modern world. We'll begin by exploring what these ancestral spiritual technologies were and how they operated as living systems of energy and intention. Then we'll dive into the hidden mechanics of word and vibration, uncovering how sound bridges spirit and matter. Finally, we'll bring these two forces together to show why they matter now more than ever, and how you can integrate them in your daily life to become a conscious creator in harmony with your lineage and your divine essence. So take a breath, feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat, that ancient drum that connects you to every ancestor who ever lived. Because our journey begins here, as we step into the sacred science once known as the spiritual technology of the ancestors. When we hear the word technology, our modern minds imagine metal, circuits, or machines, tools designed to extend human power into the material world. But for the ancients, technology meant something far more profound. It was the art of extending consciousness, not to control nature, but to communicate with it. For our ancestors, spiritual technology was the sacred architecture of connection. Systems, symbols, and practices that bridge the seen and the unseen, the human and the divine. Their temples were not built merely of stone. They were encoded fields of energy. Their rituals were not superstition. They were living algorithms of spirit formulas of rhythm, breath, sound, and gesture that opened portals between worlds. To them, cosmology was circuitry, myth was code, and prayer was programming not of machines but of reality itself. They understood that consciousness could be engineered through devotion, that the human being could become both vessel and transmitter of divine intelligence. This is the deeper meaning of spiritual technology, not a device that we hold in our hands, but a pattern we activate through awareness. It is the original science of the soul, a technology of harmony between energy, intention, and creation. Among the Igbo, Yoruba, and countless other African civilizations, these technologies took many forms. There were arts of astral travel, and dual presence, the ability to be in the world of the living while conversing with the world of the spirits. There were practices of dream work, where the dream was not illusion, but a meeting ground for ancestors and guides. And there were codes, invisible yet precise, encoded beneath the earth, in the rhythm of drums, in the pattern of cowrie shells, in the breath of a name spoken with reverence. The land itself was considered a living circuit, a map of divine energy. Every tree, every river, every hill carried a signature of consciousness, and the people knew how to tune into it. Ancestry was not a memory, it was a network of living intelligence. In these systems, nothing was separate. Word, land, ritual, and lineage were one continuous field. To speak was to invoke, to honor was to awaken, to remember was to reprogram the soul. One did not worship the ancestors as distant beings, one participated in their ongoing intelligence, moving in rhythm with forces older than time. This was the living code of the cosmos, expressed through culture, ritual, and community. At the heart of every ancestral system lies a simple but revolutionary principle, that the purpose of the human being is not to dominate the invisible, but to align with it. Modern thought seeks to master the unknown, to dissect, analyze, and control. But the ancients sought resonance. They understood that when a human being becomes inwardly still, balanced, and intentional, they harmonize with the deeper frequencies of creation. And in that alignment, miracles are no longer extraordinary, they are the natural consequence of being attuned to the source. This was their true science, the calibration of soul to cosmos, of inner sound to universal rhythm. It is from this sacred alignment that all true power flows, whether through word, song, or prayer. Now that we've traced the landscape of ancestral spiritual technology, this art of bridging seen and unseen, we can journey deeper, to the very vibration that animates it all. Let's move to the vibrating heart of this field, the power of words, sound, and vibration. In every sacred tradition, there exists a secret language, not of words alone, but of vibration. Across time and culture, this truth has been spoken under different names: Ashe, Ise, and Heka. Ashe, in the Yoruba tradition, is the pulse of divine authority, the living life force that moves through all things. It is the current that animates creation, the sacred permission by which reality unfolds. When one says Ashe, it is not mere affirmation, it is a command in harmony with the will of the universe. A recognition that the breath within us carries the same creative essence that spoke the cosmos into being. Ise, often translated as action, work, or manifestation, is that same force made tangible, the movement of spirit through human hands. It reminds us that creation is not complete in thought alone. It must be embodied, acted upon, lived. Ise is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, where intention takes shape through rhythm, ritual, and deed. And from ancient Kemet, Egypt, we inherit the word Heka, the primordial magic of utterance. Not illusion, but sacred science, the knowledge that sound is structure, and that every spoken word sets energy into motion. To speak with awareness was to engineer reality. To speak without consciousness was to scatter divine power into chaos. Though these names arise from different tongues, they describe a single universal law: words plus vibration, creation. Each is a frequency of divine mathematics. Ashe as the current, Ise as the expression, Heka as the code. Together they reveal that the word is not symbolic of reality. The word is reality unfolding. Esoterically, Ashe is a far more profound and complex concept. It is defined as a postulated natural force, or an all-pervasive spiritual energy that creates, catalyzes, or facilitates change in the natural world. It is the embodiment of the divine life force that exists within and throughout all things in the seen and unseen worlds. Perhaps the most cited and useful definition comes from the work of historian Robert Farris Thompson, who defines Ise as the power to make things happen. It is, in essence, the divine essence that allows potential to soar beyond limits. First, Ashe is a performative force. It is not a static object or a finite commodity to be hoarded. Rather, it is performative power, a force that must be activated and used. Its definition is rooted in verbs. It creates, catalyzes, and facilitates. It is the power to make things happen, implying action and motion. It is the universe in a constant state of becoming. Second, Ise is an amoral, not immoral force. The power itself is inherently neutral and can only become good or evil at the will of the user. This is a critical distinction. Unlike Abrahamic concepts where divine power is intrinsically good, Ise is a raw, fundamental energy, much like electricity or gravity. Its moral alignment is determined by the intent and character of the wielder. This is explicitly supported by the fact that Ise is believed to be given by the Supreme Creator to all voiced words, including songs, prayers, praises, curses, or even everyday conversation. The inclusion of curses demonstrates that Ashe is the power that makes all things happen, for good or for ill. This places an immense philosophical importance on the character of the individual. This is why it's so important the application of Iwapele prior to understanding this technology for a common daily application and once evolution for the collective whole. Every breath you take is a vibration in dialogue with the universe. Every sound, every syllable is a ripple in the unseen field of energy that we call existence. The ancients understood that sound is the first architect of form, that before light, there was tone. Before matter, there was resonance. Our speech, our breath, our vibration, these are not random byproducts of life, but instruments of creation. The vibration of a word moves through the subtle layers of reality, shaping thought, emotion, and even matter itself. To speak carelessly is to distort it. In Heka, the priests of ancient Egypt used breath and tone not merely as language, but as technology. Each incantation was a calibration, a way of aligning their frequency with the creative rhythm of the gods. They knew that to speak a name was to call forth its essence. To chant a tone was to awaken its pattern in the ether. The same understanding flows through Yoruba cosmology, where every oriki, every praise poem carries the frequency of Ise. When a devotee sings to an orisha, they are not performing a song. They are activating a circuit, opening a living dialogue between spirit and human. The word becomes a vessel, and the breath becomes the offering. This is why, across the African spiritual world, language is never casual. Speech is ritual. Silence is sacred. Every utterance either builds or breaks harmony within the web of life. Next, let's analyze the source and transmission of Ise through the hierarchical and holistic structure of Yoruba cosmology. The ultimate source of all Ashe is the supreme creator deity, Olodumare, who is also referred to as Olorun, owner of the sky. Ashe is described as the divine word handed down from the supreme deity Olorun. It is this word that functions as the prime moving force of creation and enables communication between deities and mortals. The supremacy of Olodumare is so vast and remote that the deity cannot be reached directly by humans. Therefore, intermediaries are necessary to transmit and manage this power. A foundational tenet of Yoruba thought is that Olodumare gives Ashe to everything. The recipients of this divine energy are all-encompassing, including gods, ancestors, spirits, humans, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, and voiced words. According to this cosmology, existence is dependent upon it. The implication of this is profound. There is no such thing as an inanimate object. All things, from a mountain to a leaf, from a human to a drumbeat, are alive with this performative power. This establishes Yoruba cosmology not as a dualistic system, sacred versus profane, but as a deeply holistic one, where Ashe functions as the underlying physics of reality. Magic's, or manifestation, is therefore not a supernatural act, i.e., violating the laws of nature, but a natural one, the act of skillfully using the fundamental laws of this spiritual physics. The same divine energy that Olodumare gives to the Orishas and the natural world is also given to ancestors. In Yoruba cosmology, ancestors, Egun or Ara-Orun, citizens of the other world, are departed but not deceased. They remain active participants in the lives of their descendants. The veneration of ancestors known as Ise is not merely a supplemental practice. It is the foundation of the entire spiritual tradition. As a sacred proverb states, "It is our mothers and our fathers who are our Ise." It is Ise we pay homage to before paying homage to Orisa. This is because the ancestors are the keepers of tradition. They are the direct, genetic, and spiritual link between the living individual and the vast cosmic energies of the Orishas. They paved the way, and the path to cultivating personal Ise must, therefore, go through one's own lineage. Ashe is the power invoked from the ancestors, and just as importantly, directed to them. Libation rituals, the pouring of drink, while calling out the name of those who have passed, are a primary method of honoring and awakening this connection. At the conclusion of prayers, particularly those directed at an ancestral altar, Egun altar, it is common to say Ashe, Ashe, and more Ashe. In this context, the word serves a dual function. It is an affirmation, so be it, it is done, and a deliberate act of directing spiritual power. This practice is so central that it survived in diasporic traditions, such as Santeria, which has the specific phrase Ach de Egun, meaning blessing of the ancestors. In this context, one must know that to invoke literally means to channel, and to channel means that your vessel, body, becomes the conduit of the expression itself through the breath we call spirit, which is equivalent to life, which is the same breath our ancestors invoked therefore. To invoke is to channel. That is the expression of the present moment through consciousness at will. So one can understand Ashe as the fundamental feedback loop. Ashe is the relationship between the living and the Egun is not a one-way inheritance. It is a dynamic, reciprocal loop fueled by existence. A profound understanding of this process is revealed in the instruction for ancestral veneration. The more you direct your prayers and offerings to your ancestors, the more empowered they will be to support you. This reveals a sophisticated spiritual technology. The Ise of the living, in the form of prayers, offerings, and spoken words, is directed to the ancestors in Orun. This energy empowers them, strengthening their spiritual coolness and influence. In turn, these empowered ancestors are better equipped to provide guidance, protection, and a flow of Ashe back to their descendants in I, the world. This is a living symbiotic relationship of co-creation, where Ise functions as the spiritual currency that flows in both directions across the veil. While Ashe is present in all things, a human being who learns to consciously cultivate and direct this force is known as an Alashe. An Alas is defined as a person who, through training, experience, and initiation, learns how to use the essential life force of things to willfully effect change. This is the human potential for mastery, the embodiment of the power to make things happen. One of the primary tools of the Alas, and one of the most potent concentrations of Ashe, is the human voice. Ashe is explicitly given to voiced words. The voice is a conduit to focus the spiritual powers of the unseen world to impact upon the realm of the living. This concept is referred to in modern explorations as the word is law. This is not a metaphor. Traditional Yoruba spirituality contains specific, advanced verbal technologies for directing Ise to shape reality. These include Ofo, incantation, a specific verbal formula for calling to effect. There are distinct Ofo for various purposes, such as Ofo to heal sickness or Ofo to heal after accidents. Asan, spell, a related but distinct form of verbal command used to cause a specific outcome. Jetta incantation, another category of calling to effect, often used synonymously with OFO, but with its own characteristics. These verbal technologies are not simple prayers in the Western sense. They are understood as a hidden science of using sound, vibration, and specific language to direct the neutral force of Ise toward a willed, manifest outcome. In modern contexts, Ise is frequently compared to the word Amen. This comparison is a useful starting point, as both words are used at the end of spiritual declarations and can be translated as so be it. The survival of Ise's function in the Amen corners of African American Protestant worship is a testament to its philosophical resilience. However, a deeper analysis reveals a crucial distinction in intent. While Amen, in a Western Abrahamic context, can often be a plea to an external deity, may it be so, or a passive agreement with a statement, Ise is fundamentally a performative command. It is the basis of all conjuring power. When a practitioner uses Ise or its cognates like the Edo word Ise, the intent is to make thought manifest. It is an invocation of immediate transformation. The intent is, may our words make a willed change in the physical world. This is the core of its manifestation power. It is the Alas wielder standing in their own authority, aligning with the divine and proclaiming a reality into existence. It is the difference between, I hope this happens, and this is happening. Now you can sense the thread connecting this to the ancestral technologies we explored earlier. Those ancient systems of alignment, the rituals, symbols, and cosmologies were not external tools alone. They were anchored by sound, vibration, and word, the very same creative frequencies expressed through Ashe, Ise, and Heka. The drumbeat was not mere rhythm. It was the heartbeat of the cosmos. The chant was not entertainment. It was the rewiring of the soul. The word was not a description of truth. It was truth taking form. Thus, the hidden science of vibration is not something to learn from books, but something to remember through practice, breath, and awareness. To speak with intention is to rediscover your divine authorship, to remember that the universe is listening, and that your voice is one of its instruments. Now that we have entered the sacred science of sound and word, the beating heart of creation itself, let us weave these two threads together, the ancestral technologies of consciousness and the vibrational language that animates them. Because when the code of the ancestors meets the sound of the soul, reality begins to sing. In our modern world, surrounded by noise and acceleration, we have forgotten that sound was once sacred. We speak endlessly, yet rarely listen to the vibration beneath our own words. We chase technology outside of ourselves, while neglecting the oldest technology within, the voice, the breath, the word. Our ancestors understood something we have almost lost, that creation begins not in thought, but in resonance, that the universe does not respond to language alone, but to the frequency carried within it. Every word is a spell, every tone a transmission. And when spoken with awareness, language becomes light. But today, our speech is scattered, our vibrations fragmented by distraction and fear. We speak without presence, we affirm without belief, and so our words echo without power. We scroll through realities others have built, forgetting that we too are builders, that we too were born with the voice of creation inside us. To reconnect with this hidden science is to remember that your sound shapes the field around you. It is to reclaim your creative agency, to stop being a passive receiver of reality and become an active conductor of it. Through conscious speech, through chant, through intention spoken from the heart, we can realign our frequency with purpose and harmony. Sound becomes healing, vibration becomes medicine, word becomes prayer. And in that remembrance, the modern soul finds its way home to ancient truth. This is not merely poetic philosophy. It is the very foundation of awakening. To live consciously is to vibrate consciously, and to vibrate consciously is to participate in creation itself. For those walking the path of inner evolution, seekers, healers, initiates, this awareness bridges the old and the new. It unites the wisdom of the ancestors with the physics of energy and the psychology of intention. It aligns perfectly with the pulse of this channel, collective awakening. esoteric ancestral wisdom, and transformative consciousness. Because in the end, awakening is not escape, it is attunement. It is remembering that the divine did not stop speaking, it simply began speaking through you. So how do these two threads, the ancestral spiritual technology and the hidden science of vibration, weave together into one coherent vision? Let us map their intersection, where ancient wisdom meets modern awakening, and where the word once again becomes the bridge between spirit and matter. The critical connection is this: the head, Ori, is identified in Yoruba cosmology as the site of a person as Ace. This is the physical and metaphysical location of one's personal power. This belief is so central that in traditional Yoruba art, the head is often sculpted to be 4 or 5 times its normal size in relation to the body. This is not a stylistic quirk, but a philosophical statement. Consciousness, Ori, is the most important part of a human being, as it is the vessel that houses and directs one's divine power, Ashe. This is the triad of awakening: Ase, power; Ori, consciousness; and Iwa, character. Awakening consciousness within this framework is not a passive, abstract process. It is the active management of a triad of concepts. As the divine amoral power or fuel that animates all things. 2. Ori, the individual consciousness or vessel that holds this fuel. 3. Iwa, the character or existence of an individual which represents the integrity of the vessel. The goal of life in traditional Yoruba thought is to perfect one's Iwa. Good character, Iwa Pele, is the highest virtue. This is not simply a moral suggestion, it is a practical, metaphysical imperative. The texts state that a person with poor character degrades one's destiny, Ori, and lessens one's existence. A person who lacks Iwa is called Ki Seniyan, not a real person. This creates a clear mechanic for awakening consciousness. One cannot cultivate Ase, power, if one's Iwa, character, is poor. The ancient adept entered temples of ritual, learning to master symbol and ceremony. And within both systems lie the same tools of creation: ritual, to sanctify intention; symbol, to anchor the unseen; sound and breath, to move energy; word and silence, to open portals; intention, the master key that animates them all. Together, these elements form the sacred circuitry of awakening, a map showing how divine power flows from consciousness into matter, and from matter back into spirit. So how do we live this wisdom now in an age where ancient temples have become cities, and sacred chants have been replaced by notifications? We begin where they began, with awareness. We remember that we are the descendants of spiritual engineers, carriers of forgotten codes, walking temples of vibration. The ancient altar is not lost, it beats inside your chest. Step 1. Ground in ancestral awareness. Before speaking a word, pause. Acknowledge the lineage, the bloodline, or the soul line that flows behind you. Know that every breath you take is powered by thousands who breathed before you. You stand upon the foundation of their spiritual technology. Step 2. Engage the power of word and sound now. Activate vibration through ritual. It may be a chant, a mantra, a simple tone carried by your breath. Speak an intention aloud, one that aligns with truth, love, or healing. Let the sound rise not from your mouth alone, but from your being. Feel its resonance move through your bones, the drum of your ancestors awakened. Step 3. Reflect and witness the shift after the vibration fades. Notice. Observe how your field feels, your thoughts, your heartbeat, the air around you. Reality begins to rearrange itself in response to the frequency you have summoned. Write it down. Breathe it in. Let awareness trace the path of energy as it unfolds. Step 4. Translate the energy into action. The circle is not complete until vibration becomes service. Let the harmony you invoke ripple outward through your work, your family, your art, your kindness. In doing so, you extend the ancestral current into the world. This is Ise sacred action, the continuation of creation through your hands and heart. To live this synthesis is to stand as a bridge between worlds, the ancient and the modern, the invisible and the seen, the divine and the human. It is to remember that the word still creates, the ritual still works, the vibration still heals. The code of the ancestors hums within you, and the song of creation waits for your voice. As we walk deeper into this remembering, let us now contemplate what it means to apply these truths, to live in resonance, to act with intention, and to let the ancient rhythm guide the modern soul. Now pause, breathe. Let the echo of what you've just heard settle into your awareness. Ask yourself softly, what changed in me just now? What subtle shift did I sense in my breath, my perception, my field? Sometimes transformation does not thunder. It whispers. It arrives not as revelation, but as resonance, a quiet knowing that something ancient has stirred within you. That knowing is the vibration of remembrance, the sound of your own soul recognizing itself. What if that gentle shift you feel is your consciousness recalibrating, aligning with an older rhythm, the same rhythm your ancestors once danced to under open skies? What if the awakening you seek has already begun, here, in the space between your heartbeat and your next word? This awareness is the beginning of self-mastery. It is where awakening stops being theory and becomes practice, where consciousness ceases to be an idea and becomes a way of living. Through it, you begin to evolve not by escaping the world, but by illuminating it one vibration, one intention, one sacred word at a time. Every sound you utter, every breath you shape with awareness, becomes a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your soul's unfolding. And as you refine that awareness, you participate in something vast, the evolution of consciousness itself, the collective remembering of our divine purpose. The great secret is that spirituality was never meant to be separate from life. The temple is wherever you stand. The ritual is whatever you do with intention. Begin each day as the ancients did, not with haste, but with invocation. Before you reach for your phone or step into motion, speak your day into being. Let your first words carry vibration. A simple intention, a sacred phrase, even one breath of gratitude. Let it be your morning offering to creation. Then, acknowledge the lineage that walks with you, your ancestors by blood, by spirit, or by consciousness. They are not bound by time. They listen still. Acknowledge them with a word, a memory, a thought of thanks. In doing so, you align yourself with the river of Ise that flows through every generation. As you move through your work, your art, your family life, let each action become an expression of that awareness. You need not imitate ancient rites or wear the garments of another age. You are the ritual. Your breath is the chant. Your life is the altar. To integrate this wisdom is not to borrow another culture's language, but to remember that the same source speaks through your own. You are free to adapt, to shape your own practice, your own rhythm, your own sacred vocabulary. Use your native tongue, your personal story, your lived experience. All are valid temples for divine expression. So whether you are recording your art, running your business, or caring for your family, let each task be infused with vibration and reverence. When you speak, speak consciously. When you breathe, breathe with intention. When you act, act as one who knows that the unseen listens. In doing so, you harmonize your personal melody with the greater symphony of existence. The same song the ancestors once sang, now continuing through you. Perhaps this is the essence of awakening: to live in vibration with truth, to make every word a prayer, and to remember that creation is still happening through the sound of your own being. So as we come full circle, remember this: you are not separate from the wisdom you seek. You are standing upon the living altar of ancestral technology, a network of spirit, memory, and sound that hums beneath your very skin. The same intelligence that once guided the builders of pyramids, the drummers who called down the rain, the priestesses who spoke to the stars, that same intelligence whispers through your breath. It lives in the cadence of your heartbeat and moves in every word you dare to speak with awareness. You are the continuation of an ancient experiment in consciousness, a living temple designed to transform vibration into creation. Your breath is sacred air. Your voice is sacred fire. Your intention is the key that turns both into light. When you align these breath, word, and purpose, you awaken the hidden circuit of Ise within you. You become a vessel through which spirit speaks the new world into being. And in doing so, you serve something far greater than yourself. You serve the collective awakening of humanity, the retuning of the human soul back to its cosmic harmony. So as you move forward from this moment, carry this remembrance. You are the bridge between worlds, the past and the future, the seen and the unseen, the ancestor reborn as the awakener. Let your words be medicine. Let your silence be prayer. Let your life be the vibration that heals the world. And as a closing invocation, receive this mantra spoken not just as poetry, but as power. In the echo of our ancestors' wisdom, may our voices become the vibration of awakening. May our breath remember its divinity, and may every word we speak be worthy of the world we wish to create. Take a deep breath. Feel the current of life moving through you. That right there is the sound of creation recognizing itself in you. Ashe. If this resonated with you, don't forget to drop a comment or share it with someone that might need to hear this so they can align with the ancestral technology of Ashe. Thanks for watching. Until next time, Ocean Oju signing out.